Good afternoon. Just waiting for a few people to pop on. You're new for me, and I'm happy to see new folks joining in. I'm Sherry. I've been with Unique as a designer slash teacher for a couple of years now. So I tend to take a break during summer because I'm a huge gardener. But I'm now ramping up and getting back into things. So hopefully you'll see more classes being posted with me. We'll just wait for a few more people to join and then we'll get started. I'm excited to have you here. It's always a good day to color. Looking for scrapbook layout that I had. Hey, Shelley. Oh, thank you. Happy to see me back. I'm happy to be back. I miss it, but I get so tired from doing my gardening stuff that I just don't have it in me to do the crafting stuff during the summer. But I like it because it gives me a change and keeps me fresh, I think. But I still shop all summer long, and I'm a collector of the fine things. So then I try to use them all, which is always impossible. But so I'm just going to go over a few things. We're going to wait one more minute. I see there's 7 on. And the best part of these classes for me is the engagement. So please get on there and chat with each other and chat with me. And it's always fun. Okay, we're going to get into it. So All in Create, I adore their stamps, and I made 2 cards using this one here. It's called School Days. So she is so cute, and this little school bus is just adorable. Like I have all kinds of ideas in my head of how to make layouts with this little school bus. So I love her, so we're going to make this card, and we're going to make this card, and I'll just walk you through some of the techniques. We'll color together if you're coloring. I did pre-cut out my items, but I have all the supplies here to show you what I used. So we're going to do that. And I started back on making myself like Rolodex cards or index cards. All in Create also have a whole line of these Rolodex dies. And I know a lot of other people do too, like Elizabeth Craft. I have some of hers. So and I'm not just doing it for All in Create, but as I make cards, I'm trying to save one for myself with kind of the main elements. And I also did these fall cards using this little girl, and it's called Falling for Fall. And I did post those. So just to give you some ideas, I'm not doing a class on those ones. But I did post everything I used and all of that goodness for her. So these are my Rolodex cards. The rest will be either given away or I do sell them. And I'm just going to put my little pile to the side. I posted a scrapbook layout page because there's a lot of scrapbook people on here, and I don't want just to feel like you cannot use these cute little characters for scrapbooking. I think this, hi June, I think this turned out adorable, and I used all the same elements that I did that I'll show you on the cards into this layout. This is an old paper line from Simple Stories that I dug out of my stash, and I thought how fun would it be to do monochromatic coloring. So, oh, thanks, June. So I did like this little one all in grays and this little one all in brown. So she's the fall and she's the school days. And then there's the little school bus, the apple. So I incorporated all the same elements, the die from, oh, do you like the color scheme? Yes, I do too. The monochromatic really has grabbed my attention and I kind of like it. Like I like it a lot. And I can imagine doing monochromatic when you have a busy paper background, like that's not grays and browns, but bright colors, just to give the eye the rest on the main image. So this was adorable. I love this, and I'm going to have to go back and dig into my stash for some school days pictures of my kids. So I just wanted to remind you that all in Create, the cute stamps that we all have, don't be afraid to put them on your layouts because they are fantastic. So we're going to do this card first. So just some of the elements, and I did pre-cut my things so that you didn't have to be painfully watching me cut items for the card as we make it. But what else did I use on this? So of course the stamps, stay curious, stay smart. I stamped it out and then just cut it down. This one's popped up. The background. I love the background on this one. And where did I put that one? You see. I used it for something else and I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. So this is the lay it up or layer it up tape that All in Create come out with. So how I use mine is the layer it up. It comes in a roll. It looks like washi tape, but you put one layer, and I don't remember if it starts on the top or the bottom, but you just keep putting layers. Usually it's 4 layers, and then it builds a scene for you. They have so many kinds of different layer it up stamps, and I know Heather has a lot in the store. This one is called Leave Out My Book. So I thought it was a really cute background to use with the kind of the back to school theme. And it is Layer It Up number 101. That's what that one is. But there's also one that I have that I haven't used it, and it's like a library books. So anything like that would work great. So what I do when I get my rolls of tape is someday when I'm feeling crafty, but I really don't have project that I want to start or want to do, I'll just take my tape and fill card fronts until the tape runs out, and I'll put some horizontal and then I'll put some vertical so that when I want a card front just to pop up an image on, I already have them made. And then you can cut them down if you want. You could fussy cut around this if you wanted, but it's already done. So I have stacks of different ones already pre-done and ready to go in my stash. So that's a little tip on the layer it up. I find that, and I leave them out in my main work area so that if I'm building cards, I'll go through that one first and see if there's anything there. It's an easy way for a background, and the backgrounds are beautiful, and it adds that little vintage feel that I love. So that's the background. And then I used to cut out the postage stamp. I used this die set from All in Create. It's DI-87, and it's called Quirky Posts. So you get a lot of dies in, well, it says 8 dies, so you get the background, and then you get the dies. So 4 different size, 1, 2, yeah, 4 different sizes, 2 dies for each, and it has these nice dotted lines. Cut out. Let me get nice dotted lines, so it has wonderful detail on it. And then these little dots punch out. So the size of the cards I made, this one in particular was the slim card. So she is, and the reason why I did the slim is because I had envelopes that I wanted to use. So she is 3.5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. And then I had some slim line envelopes that I wanted to use. So we used this one, the stamp, and the layer it up for this card. So that's the supplies. And then I did put in the posting, all in Create markers that we used. But let's get coloring her. And that's kind of the main thing of today, is just sharing tips on coloring. So first off, and I'm going to do some fussy cutting with you. Oh, that one there, sorry, I got my wrong package. So we have stamp, and I do kind of look onto the stamp. If it's the first time that I'm coloring, I'll look onto the stamp and just get an idea of some colors to use. But for this one, I wanted to make sure I pulled in colors from the background because I knew that was the background. So that's what led to my picking out these colors. And there's little hints of red in there as well. So like I said, I did cut out a lot of things ahead of time. So there's my Stay Smart. I did color in the pencils and apples, and we'll cut them out together, but we're going to color her in together. So you do have to use an ink that is not a dye ink. So you need to use an alcohol, sorry, I got that reversed. You need to use an dye ink, not an alcohol-based ink, because your pens are alcohol. So if you use an alcohol-based ink, you're going to smudge. So you need a dye ink, like a distress ink. Some inks, it will say right on the package, good for watercoloring and alcohol inks. So just research your ink, whatever one you have, and it will tell you whether or not it's safe for alcohol markers. So that's just the card base. So let's start coloring her. And I have my colors here that I used. It's on this scratch piece of paper. So for the face, and I generally do her face first, no particular reason. And there's lots of different face combinations that you can do. And you have to kind of remember that when you're coloring, give yourself some grace, and if you're not liking it, walk away from it, because it does dry pretty fast, but it's not going to dry for a little bit of time, and you can always come and touch up even after you've walked away from it, as long as it's an alcohol marker. If you go over this with a water blending marker, it's not going to do anything. So I use Link of Stella on top to give her a little shimmer. I don't know if you can see that. But that's not going to disturb your ink because it's water-based. So for the face, 1O, we got orange OR 1.1. All my ink already pulled. And then we have OR 3.2. So I only use 2 different inks. You can use one and build up the color just with one ink. The more times you go over it, the darker it will get. So don't think that you have to have absolutely all the inks in order to do it. And so I'm just going to go, and these inks are so nice to work with. Like the tip is very fine, and she has like a little part in her hair that is very easy to do. I'll bring my camera down closer while I'm coloring. So there. And I apologize if there's any shadow. The sun's quite bright today. So in tiny, tiny little areas, if you need to get in a tiny spot, just use like tiny dots. Like in here is a pretty big spot. But it just goes out so smoothly. And I did a whole tutorial when Olos first came out, kind of saying the difference between Olos and other brands of alcohol ink and why I was liking the Olos so much. So please look for that, and you can see that. So I'm just doing all her flush areas. Now I will pause. When I made these cards, I had all my images stamped out, and I did kind of in motions of the same. So I would do all my images' faces while I had the ink out, and then I'd go to the hair or the dress or whatever it was, as long as it was the same colors. And I do like to put the covers back on because they are alcohol and they will dry out. I don't know how long it would take it to dry out. Now this is the 3.2, so it's quite a bit darker than 1.1. So the broader the distance between the numbers, it's going to be a darker color. But I have made, and I refer to this all the time. Trying to grab it, I have to stand up. So on the Olo website, there is these templates that you can download, and you can do your own swatch. And this has been so helpful because, so as I purchase markers, I'd go in and fill in the circle. So when I'm pulling colors, I know exactly which colors I would like to pull. And this is so helpful. Highly recommend that you do that for any kind of alcohol marker that you have. So this one is darker. So I just want to, if you see this little one, I just want to start shading in just to give the face a little dimension. And I'm thinking the light, and you'll always hear like this light source. I don't get too heavily into it. My light usually always ends up being face on. So like in the center of things, I'll leave a little bit lighter. So I'm going to start up in the part over the hair, because that's kind of very shadowy. And like I said, you can just apply little dots if you want. And then in the corner of her glasses. This is very runny. I wonder why. I'm going to show you how to fix that little, I think I was holding it down, that's why it was so fluidy. And then I'm just going to come in, do a little bit of her cheeks. And around. That's really runny today. They're normally not like that. Maybe I know what it is. I have my markers sitting like this in a tin, when normally I have them laying flat. So I wonder if they're all going to be juicy like that. We're just going to put them on the side. But I'm going to show you how to fix that little boo-boo. Like there's a little bit of color went into her eye space. So you can get one that's called 0. And what that does, it's got no color pigment into it. It is just alcohol. And you can dot it over an area that you kind of want to erase. And you have to give it a minute. And what it will do, it will push that color back out. And like I said, you have to give it a minute. Now, is it going to do it perfectly where you're not going to see it at all? If you're lucky. But some colors are a little bit harder to get rid of than others. But I'm going to be coloring in some of her eye and this flower area, so I'm not too worried. So right now, her face doesn't look all that appealing. You know, we got light and very dark. So then this is when you go back in with your lightest color. So your 1.1. And just like you can erase color with a 0, you can also blend some of the dark color back out with this first lighter color that you used. So I'm just using like little brush strokes, and at the same time I'm going over the center area. So I'm just kind of using little brush strokes. And it's going to lighten this up a little bit. And I'm just going to put that to the side. And then for her cheeks is R0.3. So that's that one. And for cheeks, I just do it like a little dotty motion. And then again, I'm going to go back in with my lightest color, the 1.1, and blend the cheeks. So if you always go back to your lightest color, you can blend them out. And even the dark areas lightened up quite a bit. So she's looking more cuter. And for her lips, I am going to use the R0.4. And lips are tiny, so it is really just dots. And while I have the 0.4 out, I also colored in the book. And I'm going to show you what I mean by using, it's okay to use one color and just layer it. So I just have the 0.4. If I just let this dry really well and just go over certain areas, it is going to darken up those areas. So it gives it the appearance like there's shading when you only have the one marker. So feel free to do that. Now with her face, I'm still not there yet, so I'm going back to the 1.1. And it's just because it's being a little bit stubborn, but I had all that liquid of my darker color, my 3.2, coming out. And I know it's the way I was storing. So I don't recommend you store them up and down where there's two different colors on either end of the marker. I like storing them flat. So I just have a little case that I put all my markers in and store them that way. Oh, I forgot to do a little bit of shading on her legs. So we're going back to 3.2. I'm just going to do a little bit of dotting on the outside, same as her hand. And then going back to the 1.1 and then blending that in. So now for her hair, we used Y0 2.3, Y0 2.5, and Y0 2.7. So and I tend to start with the lighter color. Some people start with their darker color and fade it in. I just find I have better control with my shading if I start with the lighter. So when I do light, I'm going to do the whole thing. Just like when I did her face, I colored it all in with the lightest color first. And the hair's pretty. It's a larger body that you're coloring, so it's not as fussy. And we are going to be fussy cutting, but I like to leave a little bit of a white border, so I am still trying to stay in the lines. Oh, I did her bow yellow, but that's okay. The color we're going to go over it. It will help blend it in anyway. It's darker. See, there's no big mistakes with this sort of thing. So that's the first layer. And then we're going to go to 2.5, which is the second darkest color that I'm going to use. And I'm just starting from the top, and you can use the stamp lines as kind of your guide as to where you want more definition, or where you want the darker, more shadier places to be. So I'm just literally going from the crown of her head and working down the lines. And then at the tips, it's almost in the opposite direction. And then because I got 3 colors, I'm going to lay the final dark color on before I start my blending. So that's 2.7. And again, I'm going to follow the lines, but just do it shorter. I'm not going to go all the way down as I did with the second color. I'm kind of keeping it closer to her crown. And then just a little bit down here. You can use like a feathery kind of motion. And now I'm going to go reverse, because I want to land with my lightest color last. So I did the darkest, now I'm going to go back to the medium. And just kind of blend the medium with the dark. And I am by no means a coloring expert. I just like it. And it's very forgiving. So now I got my lightest color, and I'm going to do the light areas all over again, flicking the color up into the medium. So it will help them blend and start moving together, so you don't see those harsh lines between one color and the next. And because it's the lightest color, if I see a dark area that I think is too dark, you can go over it and it will help blend it out. So there's her hair, and I'm happy with that. Now I didn't do this part here, also goes in. So there's the lightest color. I think I only used the 2 colors on the book. And just a little bit of shading. And then back in with my light. So that is her hair. So what do we have left? We have her jacket and bows and around the eye. So her jacket, I used 3 colors again. And these were my greens. Lots of detail. And it can be lots of detail, or you can be very happy with 1 layer. The other thing that works really good too for detailing is if you're someone who likes a lot of detail in your coloring, once you were done with your coloring or your alcohol markers, you could actually take coloring pencils, and because the tip of a coloring pencil is easier to control. You can do even more detailing that way with a colored pencil on top of your alcohol inks, and that is fun too. So we have 3 colors of YG, and we're going to start with our lowest color, which is 8.3, and I'm going to do all of her jacket. So again, I'm just going to put that down as the base color. Anybody out there coloring with me today? And then we're going to do her bows. Now remember, I put a little bit of yellow on that bow, covered it up with the green, and you don't even know it was there. The yellow, that is. And her socks. And I'm actually going to do her eyes with this lightest green. And for these characters' eyes, at first I was like, oh, really? I don't like it. But then it grew on me. It's kind of what they do in the stamp. So you're just going to try to make the best circle you can around the dark pupil. Try to keep your circles a similar size. And then we're going to go in with a little bit more detail to make those eyes sparkle. So then my next green for the medium color is 8.5. So again, I'm just going to start where I know I want it darker. So I'm going to do all of her collar. And just where I think there's some shade, so like kind of here in the crooks of the arms, down by the sleeves a little bit, at the bottom of the jacket, and I'm just kind of flicking up. And a little bit on her socks. And this one's also going to add another ring around the eye. Hi, Judy. Not coloring, but enjoying learning. Awesome. So for this one, it's very light touch. And you just don't even have to make a full circle. It's just kind of another ring or another circle in the eye. And right now it looks kind of funny. We're going to smooth that out when we go back to the lighter color. So she's coming. So I'm going to take the darkest color of yellow-green, which is 8.7, for the final dark shades. Just like we did with the hair, we build it up from light to dark, and then we kind of go in reverse mode. A little bit on her arms. And it's just like dots. You have to really try the markers and see. So if you're not sure, just get a couple and just play with them. It's rather addicting. Like I'll have a movie on and I'll be doing coloring while I'm listening to the movie. So now I'm going back to the medium just to blend in where that dark is. And I'm not doing any more on her eye right now. And it's like a flicking motion into the dark. Just to kind of blend it. And then we're going to go back with the lightest green. And I was thinking about going back over her eyes, but you can tell they've already kind of started to blend. And I'm liking that. And we're going to add more detail to the eyes in a few minutes. So this is my lightest color. So I am just going in and coloring over kind of all the light spots again, flicking and blending to smooth out and have the colors kind of become one. The flicking, the dot motion really is your friend in coloring. I'll do a little bit of the bow. And I like that very much. Do you see? She's blending in nicely. There's some nice shading where I want it, and it still has a little bit to dry. And just remember, if there's something that you're not caring for, like if you don't feel this is blended out enough, after a few minutes, you can go back in again and do more. So we have her little heart, or her little flower. And what did I use for that flower was 0.4. So the same color that we used for her lips. So we're going to do all of the flower with 0.4. Yeah, you just barely touch and the color comes out. And then we're using orange 2.6. So it's strange how, and red, so R is red, and then OR is orange, how they do blend together. So these are the same two colors that I used for the apples. And I'm just adding like a little dot because, you know, the flower's tiny, so where the lines are again. And then I'll go back over it with the first color, which is the 0.4, and blend them together. There we go. Now I'm going to take my blender pen, because remember I got a little bit of the flesh tones in her eye, and I'm going to see if I can push more of that color out. There's just a little line, and sometimes if you leave it be and then go back, you'll have better success. So the final detail on the eye is with a white gel pen. So I like the white gel pens, and I'm just going to make sure mine works. So it kind of adds that little look of sparkle. You're just going to make two little white dots diagonally from each other, and you can put them anywhere you want, and it kind of just brings a lighter sparkle to the eye. And that's our first little girl. You see how that little white dot, it just, I don't know, it makes it almost look dimensional. But it's just a little white dot. And then when we get our cards all done, we will do, this is uniquely creative, I called it Wink of Stella, but a sparkle over all of her. She's cute. So let's fussy cut her out and build this first card. So we need 2 apples, 1 pencil. I have my little saying already cut out, and I popped that up. Anybody out there coloring with me? Anybody who has the Olo or a form of alcohol marker? Or it's getting blurry. I usually don't have it this closely focused, but it's 2 apples. Now when you're fussy cutting, you make the paper turn, not your hand. And I like leaving a little bit of a white border, because then it makes it a little bit easier. I'm surprised AALL Create have not come out with dies for their stamps yet. I don't know if they'll ever do it. I'm fine with it not, because then I'll have to have them all. And you know, that's just more dies in the stash. So you move your paper, not your hand. And you can get around some pretty tricky corners that way. Again, I'm not looking for perfection. So 2 apples. We need 1 pencil. So I use the same colors, like the red, same as the flower around her eye. I did the apple, and I used like her hair color for the pencil, flesh color for part of the pencil. Shelley, you're not coloring right now, but taking notes. Oh, you're sweet. You love your Olos, yes. They are very forgiving. I had a lot of money invested in Copics, and I practically gave them away. I just could not get the hang of it. And people who love their Copics, like, and they do fantastic coloring. And I've had them twice. Like, I had them, didn't like them, got rid of them, bought them again, got rid of them. So when the Olos come out, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But I love the idea of alcohol coloring. So I gave them a try and just started off small and absolutely fell in love with them. You're late, Erin, that's okay. What type of paper? Listen, I don't use any particular type of paper. This is just it probably feels like an 80-pound. It's probably Nina white, just because that's what I use for my card fronts. I just have a bunch cut up in advance, and that's what I'm using. So I would dare say it's Nina white, but I don't really pay attention to the paper. I'm sure if it was thin, it would bleed more. So like I wouldn't go anything less than an 80-pound. And you don't need watercolor for alcohol inks. And, you know, it didn't bleed through terribly. And that's the other thing I like about the alcohol inks. It doesn't bleed through terribly. You can see I stamped her on the other side, and I must have made a mistake because I just flipped it and stamped on this side. You find these easier to work with too than the Copics, Shelley? Yeah, I don't know what it was about the Copics. And I gave it a good try. Like, I really did. And I used to get, they didn't, like, I found it was very hard to get rid of the lines in between colors, like the blending with Copics. It just didn't seem to go as smooth as what these ones do. You can cut like on the black line. The fussy cutting is really your preference if you want to go right to the black. I find when I try to go right to the black, you can see my mistakes easier. Yeah, no problem, Erin. I usually buy the Nina paper in the reams. So like a ream, it means like a big stack. It's either 500 sheets or 250, just because I use it for all my card bases and my card fronts. For the card bases, I usually use the 100-pound, or like, you know, for the main part of the card, the part that you fold. I try using the 100-pound just because there's usually some weight on my cards. But then when I'm stamping, it's usually the 80-pound. So I already trimmed this piece out from the die, so I'm just going to put this card together. And I do like the All and Create, the different, they have some beautiful dies out there. And then this is my card base. So this is a 100-pound. This is what I was trying to say. Call this the card base. And for the match, like the green, I went into my stash of 6x6 pads. I have like a stash of pattern pads or designer pads, and I just went in and I looked for color, and this happened to be, I think this was a Mente pad, and it had these lovely leaves on one side and green on the other. and the greens matched perfectly. Okay, so Stay Curious is flat. And for the, oh, right here, GPO gel pens, and you see how there's like a line around the Stay Curious? That's just pen marked in. It's amazing how a little, like just a little scraggly line around words can make it pop a little bit better. You don't got to get fussy. There you go. And the Stay Smart, I'm going to do the lines on this one as well before I put it down. It's on a pop square, so it's a little bit harder to. This one's popped up. And then my little girl is popped up, so I'm going to grab some pop squares, or maybe just a piece of this one. Oh my God. I got a pair of scissors here that I use just for adhesive, which I have to clean because they're just about stuck closed. And you can decide where to put her. There you go. And then we have one apple. My tweezers here somewhere. One apple flat. Popped up. I have to get my skinny small pop dots for that. If I ever lose you, I'll start again. I have this awful habit of piling stuff on top of my computer as I'm doing this. One of these times I'm going to knock us off. And then our pencil lays flat just underneath the first apple. She is so cute. Like I just love her. And I love that little bus. I thinking about more layouts to do with that bus. My kids are 30 years old. So a little dash of sprinkle of magic, some glitter, and I like this stuff. I put it on everything, just like Frank's Red Hot Sauce. And I kind of am going where the dark areas are. On her book, a little bit on her dress. And of course the apple's got a sparkle. And the end of the eraser. There. So she's all done and very cute. And her coloring came out well. So we're going to put her aside and we're going to work on our next one. So for card number 2, this is the one we use. I had a lot of fun with this one. So the elements that I use on this one, I use craft cardstock and I stamped this big stamp. Now each of these stamps are individual, but I didn't take it off of the sheet. Like I didn't take the letters off of the sheet. I just left them all on the sheet, put it in my MISTI, and I stamped them in black. And then a little trick I'm going to show you how to do for the white. And we use the little girl again. This has been one of my favorite dies from All and Create. It is number 51. And you get all these different cutouts, but the detail, it's fascinating. Like, it cuts out all these little pieces. So you have like 4 different versions of a scallopy border. And it is so fun for cards, layouts, anything. So I went ahead because white and black tends to be the colors that I would use this in the most. I went again one day. I wanted to be crafty, but really didn't have a project on the go. So I just cut out a bunch of frames and I put them in a baggie. I like having things ready sometimes. And that way it doesn't discourage you last minute to say, oh, I don't have time for that. The glitter, there's all kinds that you can get. This one's called Uniquely Creative, and it is a glitter brush pen. And I did get this one here from Unique. So anything that you see here that you want to get your fingers on, you just message Heather. And then I know everybody that was on the auction for Betty's Bargain got the Lisa Horton stitch triangle, and it was happened to be sitting on my desk, and I thought, well, let's use it because I know a lot of you out there have it. So the borders, the green and the craft were cut out with that. So you can see the little stitching around there. And then the saying, learning begins with a beep, this is just a punch that I had. So I stamped it and then punched it out. So for this one, I used a piece of white and a little piece of black, just because I had the 2 colors. So let's get at her. Pitter patter. And the little girl is colored exactly the same way. So this is just going to give us practice. This time I left the apple and the pencil free, so we'll color those together. And then the rest of my things are in here. So as I was saying, when I'm doing cards by myself, and if I'm planning on coloring the same image several times for cards, I will have them all stamped and ready to go. And I could have did that here today, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to see the coloring process twice. So if you're a little bit bored with this, feel free to go grab a drink. And I won't talk too much through it. We'll just kind of get her done. So down goes the lightest color, which is the 1.1. Making sure I get all where her skin is. Her neck, hands, and legs. Now you could pretend that she has leotards on if you wanted to. Oh, and I'm also gonna do the pencil. The pencil eraser, I think. I have to look on my card. No, I'm wrong. It's not the eraser. It is this part of the pencil. And we didn't do any of the school bus with this color. So I'm good there. So now we're going to move to our, no problem, Judy, 3.2 for some shading. That was definitely how the markers were lying, because it is not that juicy anymore. So that was a good reminder for myself not to store my markers up and down. So we're just putting the shades in the spots, a little bit down on her neck, and just like little dots. And I don't think I used this one for anything else. Back to the lighter, just to blend it away. So it's basically kind of going over the whole thing and smoothing any lines. And if you need to move color, if you push into it, it will help move it. So the cheeks are the R0.3. And I think I used the 0.3 on the eraser tip. And then we're going to go back in with the 1.1 and just blend that in. There. See, it doesn't go, it's not as bad once you do one. So then for her hair, we are going to do 2.3. I'm going to do all of her hair. Yeah, I love the points. You can get the chisel tips for these pens as well if you want to change out, but I don't like the chisel tips are really good if you have big areas that you're wanting to color in. And then for the pencil, I used this color as well. And then we're going to go 2.5, which is the next color, and I'm going to do a little shading on the pencil. A little shading on the book cover. And then just using those lines, flicking either up or down. And I'm going to put the medium color a little bit thicker because I know I'm going to be coming back in with a darker color. And we'll do the school bus separate. So that's the medium. And now for the dark, which is 2.7. And again, I'm just using flicking. And then we're going to go in reverse order. So if I'm using 3 colors especially, and there's quite a difference between the brightness of the colors, then I'll just reverse them. And go back to where we started. So we're going to go in with the medium, 2.5. And I'm pushing into the dark with the medium, and that helps them blend too, I find. And then we're going to finish with the lightest color, which is 2.3. And again, I'm flicking the light color into the medium to help blend it out. The pencil, I kind of like it just with the highlights as is, so I'm not blending that out. And if you see any harsh lines, just keep moving it around with your lighter color. And then we'll move to her petticoat. So that's 3 shades of green. Oh, I missed a book with the red. We'll go back to that because we have to do our apple. Little socks. What's the weather like for you guys today? It's really nice here. It was supposed to be rainy, but I can feel the sun coming in my window. And then we'll get her bows. And then the circles for her eye. And we're going to go to the medium color, which is 8.5 YG. Get a little bit on the bow here. And with the bow so small, if I don't go in with the darker color, I'm okay with that. Creases of the arm, and then the bottom of the dress, using the pleats of the stamp as the guide. A little bit on her sock. And then the darkest green. Oh, I forgot to do the circles around her eyes with the medium. When you first do this, it kind of looks freaky, but then it kind of just bleeds together and it looks cute. And the darkest green, paying attention to the collar. A bit of a creases here. And then just a little bit at the bottom of the skirt. I like these greens. It's the fashionable color this season. And now we're going to go backwards. So back to the medium. How you all doing? Are you getting bored with the coloring? It's good to know for future videos. Like, is showing you once enough, or do you like the repeat? And then we'll go down to the lightest color. Green. It's 8.3. And now I'm flicking down into the darker color with the lighter color. So again, if you only have one green and one red, one yellow, whatever it is, you can make darker colors by just going over it second, third, fourth time, whatever it may be. Okay, so her lips are 0.4 in the book. And the apple is 0.4. I forgot my leaf, which is the green. Now, to complement the 0.4, we're going to that orange 2.6. And again, using the stamp as the guide because there's a little bit of detail marks. That's what I'm using for the apple. And then again, I'm going to outline the book. And going back to 0.4. I should have did her eye flower while I was there. And then just blending it in the apple. Now let's do her eye flower. Yeah, I made you one Olos. They are very fun, Judy. Coloring is very relaxing. I know when adult coloring books first came out, like, there was a lot of stigma attached to it with, why should an adult be caught coloring? Well, it is very therapeutic because when you color, especially when you're working with detail, you have to remain focused. And that's crafting in general, right? So it makes your mind settle so that you can't have it wandering all over the place with with troubles or other things. It just lets you breathe for a minute. Oh, she's adorable. Now I'm going to flip it around. We're going to do the bus. So the bus was fun, and I used the same colors as, I didn't write down pardon me, the bus, but I know I can do it. So the only extra color that I brought in for the bus was a gray. Oh, I got to do my leaf. So I brought in a light gray. And let me just grab it. Again, put it in with this other. So it's like called a cool gray. I'm just going to mark it here to make sure. Yep. And you just want the impression that there's there's windows in the bus. So you really just take a cool color, could be even a pale blue, and you just kind of squiggle, not filling the whole thing in. You're just making squiggle marks. And it just gives the impression that there is a window there. Oh, and I'm going to use this here as well for the wheels in the grate. So this is going to be my base color, so my lightest color for the wheels. Back here on the bumper. There's a wheel there. And then I'm going to get cool gray, 0.3 for some shading. Down around the wheel. Pardon me. And I'm even going to bring in a little bit of a darker color, which is cool gray 5, just for those very edges. Hubcaps, down a little bit more of the grate, down under the wheels. And then we'll go backwards, just to blend. And then the lightest gray. Cool gray 1. So we got the windows, we got the hubcaps, now the bus, and I did use the same colors as the hair, so it's the 2.3 will be our base layer. And depending on which city you live in, maybe your school buses aren't yellow where you're from. Our school buses in Nova Scotia are still yellow. You just use the very tip, and you can replace your marker tips too. If you start coloring a lot, and you like wear down the tip, you can replace those too. And that's kind of what I like about the Olo. Once you have the marker itself, then you don't have to throw it away and get a new marker. There's no messy refills. The refill is an actual cartridge that you take out of one case and you pop in another. So it's just so much fun. And so far, I haven't had to refill any, and I've had my markers for over a year. Now, I don't do full-on coloring every day, but I did purchase a refill for one of my reds because I used a lot of it last Christmas, and my red is still working. So, but yeah, and they're not crazy expensive. It's just lovely. And then my darkest color, I'm gonna just do a little bit around the bottom. And I think you can get, you used to be able to buy like Olo sets. So if you're someone that did a lot of floral coloring, then there was a set that kind of outlined that. Whereas if you did people, then your set would have, like, some flesh tones. Or you could be just like me and say, well, you know what? I think I need them all. Because they're double-sided, like you get two different colors on either side, you really don't need to take up that much of your craft space to store them. So I'm just going back in with my lightest color. Pardon me. My throat's getting dry. Yeah, I made a little boob. Oh, I missed this hubcap altogether. How did I do that? Not the hubcap, but the top part. Got a little bit of the yellow inside the window, so I'm just going to go to my handy dandy eraser, the color 0, and kind of just lay some dots and see if we can erase that. Sometimes it takes a minute. So you have to lay it down and then just let it do its thing and then come back. So we got to put, before we cut these out, the little white dots in her eyes with the gel pen. Give her that sparkle. And now let's get cutting out. She went a lot faster, didn't she? Oh, my good ones. I'm going to cut out the other things, let her give her a minute for her eyes to dry. But yes, this little bus is just the cutest little bus. Like, and I just imagine a school bus driver cards. Like, wouldn't it be just cute to get a card with this little bus and the beep beep on it with as a thank you card? It's just so adorable. I think I'm going to do a few of those, and just because I think it's so cute. Great tips on detailing. Well, I'm glad you like it, Deborah. Like I said, I'm by no means an expert. I just know that they're very easy compared to some other alcohol markers I've tried. And if I can get down with it, anybody can. Their stamps and designs. They are, like, I am so hooked. Like I said, I still bought over the summer, even though I wasn't crafting much. And my stash of All and Create little people is nuts. And soon I'll be in Christmas mode. So they probably won't be used until once I'm done Christmas card making. But I love them. I have a few Christmas ones, so I'll definitely be pulling them out. Don't tell Betty, but I think the fussy cutting is starting to grow on me. I complain all the time about fussy cutting, but at least with these little characters, it's not bad. So I'm glad they don't come out with dies. It'll save me some money, because I'm telling you, if they did, I'd be buying the dies. Yeah, don't tell Betty. She thinks I hate it, and most times I do. But these little characters, I think they're just so cute. Hey, Patricia. Aw, thank you. It's not perfection, but I'm happy with them. There. So she's all colored in and sweet, and those little white dots just make all the difference in the world. Look at her. Her eyes look like they're sparkling. So cute. So let's put her together. Oh, I have one more card to show you. Yes, can't forget it. So remember I said trick to making, if you have craft, first of all, coloring pencils on craft works amazing. But I love using white on craft. So just dig into your kids' stash of their white pencil crayons. This is just an old Staples one. And I'm just going to color in using the pencil into the letter areas. And it just makes it pop a bit. So I do like using white coloring pencils. Thanks, guys. You know how to make someone feel good about their coloring. All I have to say, even as a kid, the best thing my parents could buy me was a fresh box of crayons and a new coloring book. Like, I didn't want anything else, and I was that way for a very long time. I think I'd still be happy today with a new coloring book and a fresh box of crayons. I used to love coloring with my kids. There would come a time where I'd beg them to color. But yeah, it's just some white on the craft, but any color on craft, it's really good. So you can see that it just kind of pops it out a little bit. And if you have stamps, like letters or numbers, that are all on one sticker sheet, just stamp the whole thing and use it as backgrounds. And I like the letters because it reminded me of like a school chalkboard. So I thought it went very well with the school theme. You love coloring with your grandchildren. That's so fun. So yeah, so this one here, and I didn't buy it with the intention of thinking about using it with the school stamp, but when I got it, I'm like, yes, that definitely has to be on the background of one of the cards. So let's put our layers down. So up next, and I just centered these two. And now I'm going to put down the white border. And your little glue gun gets in here very nicely. And I just kind of focus on the top part. Getting a little bit of glue here, there, and everywhere. And these cut like butter, like these dies. And I liked using this because it just gave something for the bus and the little girl to land on, almost like a road, versus having her looking like she's standing in midair. And then the little piece of black one. Do find using the tweezers is helpful. Catch you on replay? Absolutely, Crystal. Welcome. Oh, I'm inking, or I'm putting the glue on the wrong side. Absolutely. We had a fun afternoon coloring and just celebrating All and Create, their magnificent stamps that they have. And my bust is flat. I'm going to put that one down first. It's like, you know, I had some heavy color on the bust and they didn't bleed too badly at all. And this is like an 80-pound cardstock. So put the bus on the road. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Now I'm feeling like Heather, they're singing. Pop our little girl up again. I think my piece is too long. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Perfecto. We're going to pop her up here. And the little learning begins with a beep. Splat. Under here. And our apple is flat. And our pencil's popped up. A little piece of pop tape. Oh, didn't do a good job with that one. I have to trim a little bit off. And this one gets popped up. For a little bit of shimmer, we'll shake up our uniquely creative glitter pen. And of course, her eyes got to get some. Her hair. You can put this stuff on everything. Her lips, maybe. Front of her book. I'll put a little bit on the pencil. Definitely the nice red apple. And nice shiny wheels on the school bus. And maybe a little in the windows. Little on her dress. I love it. Never have too much glitter. And it just kind of, it is a water-based glitter, so it's not going to do anything to your alcohol markers. And you just let it dry. You could also use your stickles if you wanted to. I just find this is a little bit more forgiving because it's just water with sparkle, but it does stick. And that is our 2 cards, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today. I know I did. And stay tuned for the next class that I'll be doing. In the meantime, I'm going to show you some other cards that I've been doing to see what you think, if it's something that you might like to do. And they're already in their packaging, so. But these are kind of a mixed media type of card. So you do some hand doodling with like just a charcoal pencil. You do a little bit of stamping, a little bit of paper. I did some stitching. Which card, Patricia? This one or the little school bus one? And then this is just, you could stitch around here, but this is just some doodle marks around there. So let me know if this is something that you're interested in trying. So there's 3 of the kind of the same color tone. Thank you so much, Sherry. Oh, you're most welcome. You're very generous, Shelley. I really appreciate that. And then there's one done in purple, kind of brownish tones. You can use rub-ons. There's gesso on this. So this is like a little bit of a mixed media. I used a bunch of different mediums on this. So there's some purple tones. And then there's this one. So this one is, I did actually put it through the sewing machine. There's just a whole bunch of different stuff as far as mixed media on the top of it. This is a little piece of, what's that material? Oh gosh, what's the material called? It's almost like linen. And 49 and Market rub-ons go on the linen very well. So there's another one, but it's all kind of with the same technique as the 3 of them. There's just something so fun. You would like to learn something like this, Shelley? Well, stay tuned. Maybe we will do something now. What we do in class absolutely will not look the same as this here. I did these a long time ago, and it was just this weekend that I made them into cards. I've actually framed 3 of them. My husband made me some wooden frames from barn board. So I framed one of each, and I have it in my workspace. Glaze, there's a number of things. So there's gesso, there is some rub-ons, there is, some gold, kind of glazy stuff through a stencil. There's some inking, sewing. There's just a bunch of stuff on here, and it's a mixed media type card. I'll tell you where I got the idea is there's an artist called Lally Mill, Lallymille, I believe. And she is an artist, and she does all this kind of freestyling kind of art, and she was just mesmerizing to watch. So I took one of her classes once just to teach some techniques like this, and I fell in love, so I tried it. And I know this type of art's not for everybody, but I really like it. So if it's something that you folks may want to try, then we can perhaps entertain that. So I just wanted to leave that thought with you. And now I'm going to clean up my space and get outside for a little bit and see what the weather is like. Aaron Fish, what's 2 mean? Or 11? 1. What does 1 mean? Don't you love Facebook when you're trying to type something in and it just sends? Well, you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining me. And we will chat real soon, I'm sure. Bye for now.